What's one thing you accidentally found out that now everyone has to know?
Sudden hearing loss. It happens overnight in one ear. Can happen at any age and they don't know the cause. But if they treat it in 48 hours, you have a good chance of it returning. The longer you wait, the less likely you'll recover anything.
I saw an article the other day that said Christmas Day emergency rooms see the largest uptick of broken dicks than any other day of the year. Y'all stay safe out there today.
Brass doorknobs sanitize themselves. Glass doorknobs hold bacteria.
Cows have best friends.
Only 1 in 10 family fortunes survive to be passed to a third generation. You have to get revaccinated for whooping cough as an adult. I didn't know this until I caught whooping cough in my late 30s. It was honestly one of the worst things I've ever been through. I stepped outside in a tent as I was keeping everyone awake. I would cough until I either vomited or passed out, and this went on for weeks. I broke a rib and split intercostal muscles. You're supposed to have boosters every 8 to 10 years as an adult, and it really made me understand how babies and small children can and do die from the infection. It starts out very much like a simple cold, slightly sore throat and runny nose. It then progressively gets worse with a cough and tightness in the chest. Now, every time I get a slight cold, I produce a horrible cough that sounds like a braying donkey. Even when I feel fine, I wish I knew about needed to get a booster vaccine. Now I tell everyone.
A million seconds is 11 days, a billion seconds is around 30 years.
Robins see their reflection in your glasses and go into attack mode.
Robins see their reflection in your glasses and go into attack mode.
Blue Men Group is not the same 3 men. The few major cities with regularly scheduled Blue Men Group shows have 7 to 9 men.
The first land predators were probably big marine scorpions.
I don't know why this blows my mind, but if you have a problem with working out a percentage, flip the numbers and see if it makes more sense. 5% of 200 is the same as 200% of 5. 80% of 50 is the same as 50% of 80. Try it. It's awesome.
The deadliest cat in the world is also the tiniest. The African black-footed cat has an average success rate of 60% when hunting, more than twice that of a lion. A. Technically, the tiniest cat in the world is the rusty-spotted cat, with an average weight of 3.5 pounds, 1.59 kilograms, but the average African black-footed cat weighs in at 3.6 pounds, 1.60 kilograms, so suck it, Trebek.
You can ship bees in the mail. I was waiting in line at the post office, and the clerk came back with a package, and the customer says, "No, these aren't my bees. Is there another one back there?" And I thought, holy shit, not only can you ship bees, but enough people do this that it could result in a bee mix-up. What in the actual EFF? I got on the phone and told everyone I could think of.
Not everyone has internal monologue.
That the Mission Impossible theme song is literally the letters MI in Morse code. I'm telling everyone, with my trivia-obsessed family. How did I not know 5 decades ago about ...
Buffalo sauce is just hot sauce with butter.
On average, 79% of U.S. adults are literate in 2022. 21% of adults in the U.S. are illiterate in 2022. 54% of adults have a literacy below 6th grade level.
A group of penguins on land are called a waddle. A group in water is called a raft.
People who use sign language have accents.
A hot spoon on a bug bite destroys the protein that makes it itchy and subsequently the itching stops.
Sharks are older than trees.
If you want to reheat white rice and have it be just as tasty as the first time you cooked it, put it into a strainer and pour hot water over it. It comes out like you just cooked it and all fluffy again. Preferably really hot water from like a kettle.
When putting your fitted sheet on your bed, go opposite corner to opposite corner, like you're making an X. All my life I've struggled with the fitted sheet coming off the mattress and my bed sheets. Becoming a mess until a few weeks ago when I read a comment on Reddit. It's changed my sleep and comfort in my bed.
Woody Harrelson's dad was the first man to assassinate a federal judge.
Anyone old enough to remember when old dog will turn white. It doesn't happen anymore because they made a change to the dog food.
Geese use the stars to navigate because they are intelligent birds.
Over 50% of holiday shoppers have not paid off their credit card purchases from last Christmas.
I forget the exact percentage, but a ridiculous number of those diagnosed with ADHD as adults are diagnosed after their child receives a diagnosis first.
Over 50% of holiday shoppers have not paid off their credit card purchases from last Christmas.
The difference between a macaroon and a macaron. Macaroons are a type of cookie that are made with shredded coconut and egg whites. Macarons are a type of cookie that is jam, ganache, or buttercream that is sandwiched between two almond flour cookies.
Dolphins fuck the corpse of dead fish for fun.
Allergy medication can cause depression and self-harm impulses.
To mute the sound on gas pumps playing ads, you press the second button down from the top on the right side of the screen. No one wants to hear that shit.
Quarter-life crises are developmentally appropriate. Emerging adulthood is super interesting.
The state of Oregon is about 10,000 square miles bigger than the United Kingdom.
Facetious is all of the vowels in alphabetical order. Facetiously, if you want to count the Y.
You can't spell homeowner without meow.
Snakes can fart and it's incredibly loud.
That plant's taking CO2 and break it apart and take the carbon and turn it into stems, leaves, etc. They literally build themselves out of the carbon in the air. This is how plants are carbon sinks. And why burning plants' fossil fuels releases the carbon back into the atmosphere. I actually didn't realize they build their bodies with the carbon they take in from the air.
When I was working in the psych industry with children, the amount of child pornography that was based off stolen photos from mom and dad's socials was terrifying. Protect your kids, folks.
Most birds mate for life.
Warm water on a jellyfish sting, not pee.
While leap years happen every 4 years to offset the time disparity between a calendar day and Earth Day, it doesn't offset time perfectly. The official rule behind leap years is a year that is divisible by 4. But not 100. Exceptions are for hundreds, so the year 2000 was a leap year as it was. Divisible by 400, but the year 2100 will not be a leap year.
Rabbits eat their poop at night.
The melted acetate that a cigarette smoker inhales from the filter of a cigarette could be a substantial driver of lung cancer. Tobacco isn't good for you either. But medical researchers have known for decades that the filters don't do a damn thing to reduce the health impacts of tobacco, and in fact they may be introducing carcinogens.
The fuel gauge on a car's dashboard often has a little arrow on one side of it. It indicates which side the fuel cap is on.
The Catholic Church used to consider beavers as a type of fish for Lent meals, due to their aquatic lifestyle and scaly tails.
RFK Jr. would be the first heroin addict president if elected.
Blippi is a very popular YouTuber that makes videos for children. Before he did that, he made a video called The Harlem Poop where he is fully naked and shits into another naked man's ass in the style of the Harlem Shake as a comedy video. He has went as far as changing his full name to distance himself from it. Here's a link. https://archive.org/details/harlem-shake-poop.
When Americans refer to the Midwest, they're referencing the states east of the Mid.
Your AK mags can hold AA batteries, but it's really not a good idea.
Technically speaking, cupboards don't have movable shelves. Cabinets do.
Eduardo Franco, a.k.a. Argyle, from Stranger Things, voices a singing animated cat, DJ Catnip.
That any AI smart enough to pass a Turing test is smart enough to know to fail it on purpose.
If you're constipated long enough, Your poop will come out of your mouth. Sorry you had to find out like this, but I learned about it from a medical documentary and they were even more graphic.
Ooh, I've got one. If you vomit hard enough that it comes out your nose, it is possible to get partially digested food in your sinus cavities. Guess how I know?
That the lion costume from The Wizard of Oz was made out of real lion's fur. The actual things that happen when you declaw a cat. It's like amputating fingers. They often get early arthritis and back problems because it changes the way they walk completely. It's insanely barbaric, and any vet who participates in the practice knowing the results is immoral and evil.
Dog poop spelled backwards is poop god.
That an adolescent dog might need way less activity and stimulation to be able to chill than people might think.
Learn today that flies sometimes accidentally twist their own heads off while rubbing their legs together, and they don't die from that. They eventually starve to death, but can still breathe and walk around until then.
Dolphins are actually complete arseholes.
Half of Delaware is south of Washington, D.C.
To shop in incognito mode, retailers have dynamic pricing, so will charge more or less depending on the time of day, the neighborhood you are in, etc.
https://n.m.wiki.org/project_20-5.
Not that useful, but some network technicians claim that some telecommunication sites had ghosts. They just go and get out as fast as they can, and some people barely do their job there so they can get out fast. Also, you can find those sites on Google Maps and some have ratings for some reason. Lol.
Paprika is dried, ground red capsicum, red bell pepper.
Greenland extends further north, east, south, and west than Iceland.
Though Nevada is California's eastern neighbor and Los Angeles sits on the Pacific coast, Reno is farther west than Los Angeles. Reno is located at 11,949 feet west, while Los Angeles is located at 11,814 feet west.
At least in the state of Florida, if you donate your body to science through the state, you need to leave contact information for your family to receive your cremated remains after they are finishes. Using your body, if they can't contact your family, your remains are dumped into the Gulf of Mexico.
Martin Luther King Jr. paid the hospital bill for Julia Roberts' birth.
That you can get alphabet flashcards, which have weighted letters, which may help children with undiagnosed dyslexia.
Long-haul COVID is real and fucks you up really bad.
You can make powdered sugar by just grinding regular sugar in a coffee grinder. Seems obvious, but mind blown.
IDK had to choose between how cashews grow or how deer can carry CWD, a prion disease that would mean certain death for those who eat the meat, and is nearly impossible to destroy. The prions that have been incorrectly folded both keep me up at night sometimes.
Walt Disney is older than plastic.
1. Squirrels can't find most of the nuts they hide to everyone in Times Square NYE for the ball drop is wearing diapers. They get there around 10 a.m. and you are not allowed to leave the area, and they have no porta potties.
How important iodine is for us, especially women, especially pregnant women.
A toothache where part of the tooth is gone can be killed by burning glossy paper like you get in magazines, balling dash up and stuffing into the cavity. Apparently it kills the nerve. It's an old prison remedy.
Give a deck of cards a good shuffle, and most likely that is the first time a deck of cards has ever been in that order in the history of old decks of cards.
Alls have eye tubes, not eyeballs.
Eye swatter rhymes perfectly with fly swatter.
Some people stand when they wipe, some people sit when they wipe. Neither know the other exists.
Salt on melons, I hate. Cantaloupe, honeydew melon, and watermelon. Little bit of salt, like that magic berry. You gonna love that melon.
We had cows and slaughtered one for meat. I thought it would make it easier to eat. as I simply cannot stomach the cruelty of mass production anyway. The way that the steer's mother reacted was horrifying. She was in the next paddock over, but afterwards she ran over to where it happened and screamed. She pawed at the earth for weeks, crying. It haunts me. I can't actually believe how we process animals.
On 9/11's the Capitol Mall near Santa Cruz, California, I heard this story from a friend who's going to UCSC closed down because after the attacks on the Twin Towers, they thought they were next.
Edit 2. This is apparently bogus. Edit. Most of the pickles you buy in US supermarkets are not labeled pickles anywhere on the jar, because then their processing would have to meet the strict definition of pickles according to the FDA. So instead they're called dill spears or whatever.
You know those dancers in the Just Dance games? That's done with practical effects. Real people dress in white bodysuits and makeup under the real clothes and actually perform those dances.
0 is a real number. That if your birthday is on Monday this year, it's on Tuesday the next year and so on. Only learned that recently in my 45 years on this earth, a leap year must affect it. So moan, twos. Wed, thurs, sat?
Google just jingle bells, read the first line.
Feeding your cat higher quality food or going to a raw meat diet with assistance from a veterinarian will make your cats poop and pee nearly and sometimes completely odorless.
Pivot tables.
My cat kicks herself by accident, but it can be stopped by pressing her hip. If done correctly, she sometimes gives kisses.
I have aphantasia. Didn't figure it out until I was in my 30s. I thought when people said like imagine or picture something it was a figure of speech. Had no idea everyone has brain pictures and a very small percentage of people have no visual imagination or what's called aphantasia.
You know those dancers and the Just Dance games? That's done with practical effects. Real people dress in white bodysuits and makeup under the real clothes and actually perform those dances.
Oregano oil and essential oil of oregano are completely different things. One is safe to consume and the other isn't.
Today, while playing Boggle, I found it chif means male queef, like a penis fart. Thanks, Urban Dictionary. Scored me a point.
Get a new toothbrush, toothpaste, chapstick when you get sick. Toss the old ones a few days after becoming sick and replace with the new ones.
The little stick thing that sticks up on the back of some crickets is called an ovipositor, and that's how they lay their eggs.
That holding myself to the standard of perfection is unhealthy, and that the words that I say to myself really, really matter. 3. Afghanistan and China share a border.
Trees and plants are mostly made out of carbon molecules that come from the air. I always figured trees were made out of dirt stuff, not air stuff.
Ants kept invading my son's room when he was little and I did not get it. There was no food or anything. I kept spraying everything down, vacuuming, trying to find the attraction. I finally discovered a kid's medicine syringe in a random box with a tiny bit of children's Benadryl still in it. Covered in like 10 ants, I started rinsing them out right away after that.
If the sum of all digits in a number add up to 3, 6, or 9, it is divisible by 3. So 578,211 adds up to 24, which adds up to 6. So 578,211 is divisible by 3. 49,201 adds up to 16 adds up to 7. So not divisible by 3.
The term berserk comes from Viking berserkers who would hunt and skin bears. Then their partner would eat heavy hallucinogenic mushrooms and into a cup, which the berserker would drink wearing the bear's skin before going into battle. I personally find it kind of romantic.
Pigeons produce milk.
It's pay-per-view, not pay-per-view, lol. Been saying it wrong my whole life.
Insect repellent works best if sprayed onto your clothing, shoes, and hat instead of only where your skin is exposed. You won't sweat it off. It absorbs into the fabric, so holds more residue instead of bouncing back off into the air. And pay close attention to how long it's supposed to last. Most insect repellents contain two primary ingredients. If it says it lasts 6 hours, that's how long the first ingredient lasts to repel insects, at which point the weaker ingredient is no longer masked. It attracts insects. Reapply regularly if you're in a place that has insects carrying disease. Do not wait for the first bite to alert you that you need to put on more. Set a timer or check your watch. Stay safe. Your homemade remedy is not going to save you from malaria or whatever else is in the area. Choose DEET. Choose the strongest concentration. Check the package.
All the rescue dogs that helped after 9/11s are dead.
Duck sauce is made of apple sauce.
I thought the existence of almond milk and almond butter would imply the existence of almond cheese. And it exists. I almost wish it didn't.
The names of Epstein's associates. I keep sending flash drives to journalists, but they keep ending up dead. If you were to try to get all of your 2,000 daily calories from eating human teeth, you'd have to eat the entire mouthful sets of teeth from 55 adult humans every day. Crunch, crunch.
I was at my Sil's house. Her meal was in the kitchen. When she was done with hot sauce, she licked the bottle and put the cap back on.
If you look around the room and think about what it would be like to lick any given object in there, you probably have an idea of what it would feel like to lick it. We discussed this at Christmas dinner. I've never licked that table, but I'm like 99% positive on what it would be like.
An ox is just an employed cow. They are the same species. A reindeer is an employed caribou. Same species.
Chainsaws were invented for the purpose of cutting babies out of women.
It's a Wonderful Life is such a good movie. I literally just watched it for the first time today.
Everyone needs to know what John Hamm did to that poor guy with that claw-tooth hammer. Oh, you used a hammer because your nickname was Hammer. He put his ball sack in a claw-tooth hammer and made him walk on all fours around a room as John Hamm walked him like a dog, and everyone cheered. He had to go to court.
It takes the average abusive relationship survivor about 8 tries or breakups before they successfully leave their abusive partner for good.
My parents split up before I was born. I was the product of my mother sabotaging her birth control to baby trap my father. He enlisted in the military and was deployed before my mother was very far along she had been, trying to get him not to enlist when he found out while overseas that she was pregnant. He was bewildered and concerned. He asked about her checkups and whether I was healthy. I discovered this secret when I found a bundle of letters she had kept from him, deep in her storage unit when I was in there looking for some paperwork. I never knew this because when he got back from deployment, they never resolved their issues and he was never very present in my life. He half-heartedly tried a couple times. But as a child, I was very attached to my mother, and I remember him accusing her of brainwashing me. Against him, he soon gave up. I always thought that he had never wanted to be a father, but it turns out in the beginning that was not true. I'm 30 now and don't have much of a relationship with either of them.
Cows of best friends.
Deer sometimes eat birds out of their nests.
Somewhat accidentally, but reinforced with anecdotal evidence. When you're having a good time with a woman and she says it feels good, keep doing the same thing. Don't speed up. Don't slow down. Don't switch the rhythm. Nothing. If you change anything about your performance, you could lose the orgasm altogether. Disappointment all around, for obvious reasons. This is less relevant with a partner whose body and needs you are intimately familiar with. More X does not automatically equal more better, perhaps unsurprisingly. The same thing also applies to most forms of music. Some people like a lot of variety and changes in their music, but by and large, the best bang in music for the buck is a fucking consistent groove, no puns intended.
A lot of the different types of skin on your body are similar because they form at the same time during development. Probably the most startling example of this is your lips and mother holes into your body. Basically, the color of your lips almost certainly matches the color of your genitalia. So have fun not thinking about that next time you see a stranger.
Wrestling is fake. Highways that run east to west are even numbers. Highways that run north to south are odd.
How figs are made. Never eaten a fig since.
That the child actress who played Cindy Lou Who in the live-action Grinch is the lead singer in the rock band Pretty Reckless, who are great.
The circular indents in milk jugs are for absorbing shock in case they're dropped. Found that out after dropping a gallon, it survived, but the indents were bulging outward.
Unless it's a leap year, February and March have the same days of the week as their numbers, meaning February 8th and March 8th are both Wednesdays. Which doesn't sound horrible, unless you work in scheduling. As I do, I've trained myself to always say the whole date so as to not fuck up anyone. If someone says they want it Wednesday the 8th, I repeat, Wednesday February 8th.
They were roommates.
That AI will be a teenager by 2040, and may see us as a good source of energy for consumption to continue growth.
I accidentally tore the end of a tissue off, trying to extract a whole one from the box, and suddenly realized that I could tear off only as much as I needed and really extend the life of a box. It was a small thing that broadened my consciousness about saving, not wasting, and being more precise in more areas of my life. Hope this is helpful to someone. You can stick your face directly into Lake Superior and drink the water without consequence. The only filtration necessary is for improved flavor. Bonus thing, if you have a slow leak appendicitis, more often than not it's literal shit holding your appendix together. Brendan has a mongina.
The modern Western diet lacks enough fiber.
Butterflies can taste with their feet.
Third generation Honda fits with the 6-speed manual transmission have a heel holder. The brochure doesn't mention it, and the salesman didn't either, let alone demonstrate it. It releases after a few seconds, so you'll want to set the handbrake, and then when the light turns green, just give the foot brake a good hard tap as you release the handbrake, and it'll stop you from rolling back while you launch.
Thanks very much for that. Emailing my legislators tomorrow. I wonder whether anyone has done a Venn diagram showing what states allow vaginal exams without consent and what states are restricting abortion. They did surgery on a grape.
Most dry shampoos contain butane and propane.
Coffee shops spend twice as much on milk as they do on the coffee. If you want to help a small coffee shop, stop wasting their milk.
If you want to win Monopoly, be a shark. Buy everything you touch if you're low on cash. Mortgage properties to buy more properties. Don't bother buying hotels. Buy all the houses as soon as possible so nobody else can.
Soylent Green is made from people. If you're a man licensed to drive in the U.S., you're signed up for the draft. If you didn't sign up for the draft, you could be charged. Have fun, smiley face.
Mohammed knew folks who today would be described as drag queens. Drag continued to be a popular form of performance throughout the golden age of Islam.
That the gas gauge on vehicles has a little arrow that indicates which side of the car that the gas tank is on.